Hello! Here we have such a beautiful photo. Today we will be creating a beauty photo. In this photo we need to work on the skin, work on the lips, and just go over the photo to bring it to the right look. My name is Viktor Kyslyi. I am a beauty photographer and a professional retoucher. Let's get started. First of all, I will switch to 16-bit since this is beauty retouching and it requires a lot of work and I need more information about the photo. In camera raw, I will probably make the photo a little cooler. This is purely my personal taste decision. There are no rules here. I just feel like it. That's all I will do in camera raw. Also, I don't work in any other programs. I don't need Lightroom, Capture One or any other programs. I will work only in Photoshop and just a little bit in camera raw at the beginning, and then we move to Photoshop. I click open. First, I will work on the shadow spots. I will remove unnecessary shadows from our photo. This technique is similar to dodge and burn, but it's my personal technique. It's simpler and allows for faster work. For me as a retoucher, it's very important not just to work on photos, but to work on them quickly. We live in a modern world and it's not enough to just know how to do something. You need to do it on time. Therefore, retouchers who have been in the profession for a long time or are just learning retouching, you need to think not only about quality but also about speed. I find the darkening a bit insufficient, so I will darken it more. This darkening, converting to black and white, just allows me to better see what's unnecessary in my photo. For example, there are tan lines left here and I need to fix all of that, so I will just remove the unnecessary shadows. Why don't I work with the classic dodge and burn? No matter how you look at it, classic dodge and burn is the best and most professional technique there is. Why? Dodge and burn is based on working with light and shadow, and our photo, and in fact any photo, consists of light and shadow. But to work with dodge and burn correctly, you need to spend a lot of time learning. It's not enough to know how dodge and burn is done, creating layers, which layers, how to go over them. That's not enough. You need a clear understanding of the light and shadow pattern in your head, how it should look on a person, and to acquire that you need many years of study in an institute with practice and understanding of light and shadow, meaning you need an art education. It's not necessary. For example, I personally don't have an art education, but I have 15 years of experience in retouching and over time vision. Also develops. Of course, I also took courses, attended many masterclasses, courses, read a lot of literature and watched many video tutorials on YouTube. But I can say that most of it came to me over time. That is, it wasn't like I watched some video tutorial and suddenly had a clear understanding of how light and shadow work in a photo. Everything comes with practice, and with the technique I've already used, now I'm working with defects. It works a little differently. It's much easier, and I only worked on very harsh areas that are visible even with little experience. So this technique is much better in the early stages. But in the future, I still continue to use the simplified technique because speed is important to me. There are photos that are very complex and there you need to redraw the shadows. And in those cases, I can separately use dodge and burn on a specific area, zoom in and go over small spots. But this is still extremely rare. Next, I started working with defects. The light falls very well on this photo. And in principle, the light evens out the skin for us. But there are still certain problems and they need to be worked on. I use the healing brush tool. This tool is more than enough for me to work with. I don't use any other tools. I don't use new tools with artificial intelligence. This tool is enough for me. But to work with this tool, you need to clearly understand how it works. How to use this tool to select the right texture. If you know all the rules, you can achieve a great and cool result. I can even work on very large areas. For example, here is a tan. I will also correct it with this tool. I can't say that this is good. Here it doesn't stand out much, so I can afford it. If it were an advertising photo and there was some additional emphasis on the shoulders, I would certainly work with light and shadow as well. Techniques for working with color. Excellent. Yes, this is more than enough for me. And I'll go to Liquify. Filter Liquify. First of all, I want to make the hair voluminous. This is my photograph as a photographer, and I specifically asked the hairstylist to make this hairstyle. Maybe it's just my taste, but I really love all hairstyles in the style of the 60s and 70s when the hair was very voluminous. This is purely my taste decision, before, after, and I'll work a little with the lips. I want the photo to look natural. Let's not forget, we live in a new world. Technology is developing at a rapid pace. Artificial intelligences are emerging that can already create a lot. And in the world, what looks more natural and more authentic will be valued more and more. So if you, as a retoucher, work in such a way that you create some perfect images, why turn to you if artificial intelligence can do that too? If you want to have a good number of clients, customers who want to work with you specifically, then your photos should be lively, real. But I'll make the eyes a little bigger, of course. Go to the face tool. With this tool, I'll make the eyes a little bigger. This is also my taste decision. It's not always necessary to do so, but I like it. The only thing is that our eye has become not quite round, but more oval. So I'll go in and restore its correct shape, before, after. Excellent. Good, good. So that's it. And we return directly to our Photoshop. Before, after, before, after. Yes, I enlarged the eye a lot, but it's okay. There is a slight symmetry, but personally I find it appealing. I won't restore it. I like it. Excellent. Let's move on. The next stage is working with the skin, or no, before that I'll work on the lips. We will bring the lips to a normal shape using the stamp tool. A rather complex tool, but if you know certain rules you can achieve a good result. Excellent. And let's see, before, after. Here you can refine a little more. Before, after. Yes, good. And in the same way, we'll work a little on the other side. Excellent. Yes, and a little in this area. Before, after. Yes, this is enough for me. Next, we work with frequency separation. This is also my personal frequency separation. And I go over the skin. What is my task? My task is to add a light glossy effect to the photo, but that's all. The mistake of many is that they try to transform the photo with frequency separation to make a completely different photo from one photo. And frequency separation is a very harsh tool. If you overdo it or use it incorrectly, and there are a lot of frequency separations, you can overdo it completely and ruin the photo. You can turn a person into a completely different person, and this is also not part of the retoucher's task. Let's not forget, a retoucher and an artist are different professions. Your task is not to draw a person, to redraw. Your task is to emphasize the advantages. And make it so that the flaws in the person in the photo are less noticeable. If the person wanted someone else, they would probably go to an artist. But they turn to photographers and retouchers because they want to see themselves. Of course, there are different people. Clients can be completely different. There are clients who really ask to redraw, to make one person completely different. And there are those too. But if we're talking about clients who are willing to pay well, those clients most often come. Precisely for photo enhancement, not for redrawing themselves. Great, so in this area just a little bit. Just a little bit. Notice if you were watching closely, you might not even notice the difference, but if I take it like this, add everything to a group, the difference will still be visible. In my opinion, it's even a slight overkill, so I'll take it and lower the opacity of the whole group. Great, so specifically for this photo, I'll do another frequency separation. This frequency separation, I call it frequency separation for heavy areas. That's what I call it. But this frequency separation is probably one of the most common on the internet. There are millions of videos on YouTube with this frequency separation. And when they talk about it, no one explains how it's structured. In this video, I won't explain it either because it's a different topic, but I'll say that this frequency separation ruins the photo. And the task of this frequency separation is to ruin the photo. If you use this frequency separation on the whole photo, the photo definitely won't look normal. I use it only for the harshest and heaviest areas. For example, I can work on the corners of the lips. Notice, it specifically ruins the photo, but since I'm doing it on small inconspicuous areas, it will look normal. But if you go over the whole photo like this, you'll just ruin the photo. This is what I mean by making the flaws less noticeable. Yes, I slightly blurred them. But in this case, if you do it just a little bit, for example here the skin, I don't like it either. If you do it just a little bit, it will be fine. But if you start using this frequency separation on the whole skin, it will look bad. You can play a little with the makeup, you can do a little bit on the nose here. Even out something, but under no circumstances should you go over the whole skin. Sometimes there's a task when the photo needs not just retouching, but actually saving. That is, everything is very bad for many reasons. The team might mess up, the makeup artist might do very bad makeup. The photographer might choose a very bad wrong color light during the shoot. In general, sometimes it happens that the photo is just bad. Don't forget that then your task as a retoucher is not to create some masterpiece, such a loud word, but just to tidy it up, make it better than it was. In those cases, you have to use other techniques. Then you deliberately worsen the quality somewhere so that the viewer looks less at those areas. And that happens too. So let's see what we have before and after. Yes, I like it at the moment. And let's start working with the light and shadow pattern. The light and shadow pattern is a big part of the photo. Why? Because the light and shadow pattern is the volume, it's the contrast of the photo. And contrast is one of the main understandings that exist in any form of art. We're not just talking about retouching absolutely everywhere. In retouching, photography, painting, cinema, makeup, design, contrast is a very important concept. If my students ask me just one question, what do I need to know to make my photos better? Of course, one answer won't suffice. You need a lot of practice, experience, knowledge. But the first thing I would draw their attention to is to learn what contrast is. Learn as much as possible about contrast to make photos come alive. Real. Why? Because we are now going to increase the volume of the photo. When a photo is voluminous, it seems more lively and more real. And it's just like what I said about the modern world. A lively, real photo is more important now than the ability to do many other things. Many can make plastic dolls. Even artificial intelligence, but making a person look more real is much more important. Drawn. Excellent. Excellent. And on the hair as well, I want the hair to be voluminous too, so don't forget. Now less so, but I still remember the times when I was learning, there were a lot of photos on the internet where retouchers managed to forget. Maybe there are still such cases, I don't know, haven't come across them for a long time, but it used to be constant, where people forgot, different retouchers. Forgot to process some parts. For example, in a model's portrait or beauty photo, there's a face and the model holds a hand near the face. And retouchers manage to make the face, that is, bring the skin to a good normal state, but process the hand. Forgot. And it always looked very strange because it was noticeable that the perfect skin and problems with the skin on the hand or a different color or something else. But there are also not only retouchers to this day. In my profession as a photographer, there is always a makeup artist at every shoot. I am familiar with a very large number of makeup artists, and it's immediately noticeable when a makeup artist, he can be a high-level professional, just this makeup artist doesn't have experience working on shoots. That is, a makeup artist can be a wonderful wedding makeup artist, just wonderful. Can be a wonderful makeup artist who works with clients. Or a teacher, and that happens. He's a wonderful teacher, he can explain very well how things are arranged and so on, but doesn't have experience working on shoots. And just as well, they can do the face very well. And forget, for example, to tone the neck or the same hands. And there is an important rule that everything that gets into the frame is processed with the same tone. If you are photographing as now, the face, neck and a little bit of the body, then everything should be toned. And hands and shoulders and body and face, absolutely everything. Moreover, the texture on the face and body is different. A professional makeup artist should correctly select the colors of the textures because the skin texture on the face and neck should be the same. And in terms of texture, color and light, it should all look the same, otherwise it will catch the eye. Also, makeup artists should understand that different products on a shoot can look different. That is, in life it looks one way. You can do makeup, look at the model before the shoot, everything seems fine, everything is great. But if the photographer takes harsh light, for example, and the stylist or makeup artist use different products on the face, often you can make a tone and under the eyes use another product, like some concealer. And the concealer can look different in color. I even know why this happens. It's all at the level of biology and chemistry, because each particle can be of a different shape. Some reflect color, some do not reflect color, and so on and so on and so on. This is also a long story. This is with chemists. At some point I had friends who were not only makeup artists who know how to create makeup, that is, work with people, but also makeup artists who work in production, who are chemists by education, who know how this or that cosmetic is arranged and are directly focused on clearly understanding how this or that product works. And they told a lot, from what components this or that is made, and why something can look one way on a shoot and another way in life. This is all, of course, also from experience. All this knowledge can only be gained with experience. The more experienced, the more professional you are. Alright, we worked on the lips, worked on the eyes. Maybe I overdid it, maybe. So, I'll go in, create another layer. And I'll go into Liquify, and in Liquify, I'll slightly reduce the left eye, slightly enlarge the right eye, so it doesn't stand out too much. Using the same tool, warp, just a bit. Great. So, what else to work on here? Maybe the lips. Yes, just a bit. Everyone thinks you can only enlarge lips, but I actually made them a bit smaller. The model might not like it, but what can you do? Great. Let's go back to Photoshop. Super. Our retouching is done, but it's missing color, so we can work with color. Or the eyes, there's a really cool effect. I want to make the eyes look more glassy. It's a separate color technique, but you can play around with it. So don't forget, everything should look natural. Just a bit. Increase the blue. Let's see. This is before, this is after. Do the same on the other eye. Okay. Done, but it's not natural, so let's lower the opacity of the whole layer to 50%. Great, yes, I like it. No, it's too much. I'll lower the opacity more. Working on naturalness, yes, that's better. So with color, what can we do? First, I'll enhance the skin texture. We'll work with the channel mixer tool. I think it will work well for this photo. The main thing is not to overdo it. And still, I won't apply it to the whole photo because there are too many different colors, so I'll have to apply it very carefully with a mask only on the skin and where we have freckles. You can see the model has light freckles. We should use that. It's very interesting in our world that now freckles are considered very, very cool and very, very classy. But before, everyone was ashamed of freckles. If we go back 15 to 20 years, those who had freckles, that's when tones started to appear. And people tried, on the contrary, to hide their freckles, cover them up so they were less visible. And now even retouchers specifically draw freckles. There are professional brushes for creating cool, classy freckles. By the way, they are on my website, so you can check them out. Great, so done. And let's play a bit with the skin tone. I plan to soon have a separate playlist on YouTube. Where I won't be doing full retouching but talking about different tools. How the selective color tool works, how the hue saturation tool works, how the channel mixer works, how curves work. If you want to delve deeper into this topic, I recommend subscribing to me because it's not there yet, but it will appear in the coming days. And really stronger. Done. So I like this effect on the skin and I really like this effect on the lips, so I'll take and erase everything with a mask. I just want the lips to remain a soft, so done. So what else can we do? And we can make it a bit less contrasty. I'll create a curve, fix the points, and slightly lift the black and slightly lower the white. Wow, soft. And I'll slightly darken the whole photo and add a bit of blue to the hair. specifically to the hair. This is also my personal choice. There are no rules here, so I like it. The retouching took me 35 minutes with my explanations. Without explanations, it would probably be a bit faster, about 25 minutes. Somewhere I definitely overdid it, but I think it's fine. Great. Thank you all so much for your attention. I would be grateful if you subscribe to me. Also, leave a like and a comment. Separately, I would like to ask everyone who is interested to write in the comments to this video, or you can message me directly on Instagram about any topic you would like to hear from me. I will gladly start gathering topics now, and in the future there will be video lessons on these topics. Thank you all so much, and see you in the next lesson.